Welcome to Pharma-info with Shubhashish. Today the topic which I am going to deal with is Pharmacophore modeling. Right? The term Pharmacophore is quite often used, okay, and it's a very a favorite term to those who are involved in medicinal chemistry research, at the same time who are involved in pharmacology as well. But basically, this is the term which is given to the medicinal chemist, those who are involved in making drugs, right? Why? Because they have to deal with what? They have to deal with so many structures, so many compounds and all, right? And they're just trying to extract. So before developing a particular compound, they have to put much endeavor in designing the compound, right? And during that period when they are engaged in designing a particular compound, they have to deal with, or they have to go through so many literatures, okay, so many databases where molecules are kept, right? And they are after extracting what? Certain features which are common. Why they are found to be common? Because certain features means certain chemical features like hydrogen bonding, like your steric hindrance, like your sterically favored, right? Hydrogen bond acceptor, hydrogen bond donor. So these are the features, right, which they have to deal with while dealing with all those compounds and all present in the database, right? And after getting those features and all, they're just trying to design a particular compound, right? Okay. As I said, features, the chemical features, the molecular features, the essential molecular features which are governing the process of what? Governing the process of ligand receptor interaction or ligand target interaction. They are essentially of steric and electronic. Electronic, right? So these two are the molecular features. And these two are attributed, these two are closely related to this pharmacophore, right? Now let us just define pharmacophore. What do you mean by pharmacophore? How pharmacophore can be defined? In a simple sense, it is certain key features present in a molecule or a compound, right, which upon favorable interaction with the target site yields therapeutic effect. That means it is the features and their spatial arrangement. So if we just try to figure it out, try to reshape it or refine the definition says the spatial arrangement of certain features present in a chemical compound or present in a chemical or compound, right, which upon favorable interaction with the target means the protein, essentially a protein, right? Sometimes it is a DNA, right? But mostly, be it enzyme or receptor, they are essentially proteinous in nature, right? Chalo. So which upon favorable interaction with the protein yields a therapeutic effect. So that's it. That is the complete definition of pharmacophore, right? Or we can say, as I told you, the key features, right? Key features. So that can also be called as abstract description. Abstract description. So the key features can also be called as abstract description, right? Abstract description. Description of what? Description of molecular features. And as I told you, the important molecular features are found to be electronic as well as steric, right? Okay. So these features helps in what? This feature helps in molecular recognition of a ligand by a protein. So can we say pharmacophore is nothing but an abstract description of molecular features which includes steric as well as electronic, helps in molecular recognition of what? Of a ligand by a protein. That is nothing but the target. Now, so this is the colloquial definition of pharmacophore. But if we just deal with the official definition of pharmacophore, or I should say that as per IUPAC, so IUPAC defines pharmacophore as it is an ensemble of what? It is an ensemble of steric and electronic features, okay, which are necessary to ensure the optimal supramolecular interactions, right? Okay. So here I am using the term called supramolecular. So what is that supramolecular? So now I am dealing with the definition, the official definition of pharmacophore. So official definition defined by what? Defined by IUPAC, or official definition framed by IUPAC. So as per IUPAC, pharmacophore is nothing but an ensemble. That means an accumulation of what? So it is an ensemble. Ensemble of what? Ensemble of molecular features. Molecular features which includes steric and electronic, right? So it's an ensemble of steric and electronic features that is necessary to ensure what? To ensure the interaction. The interaction is supramolecular interaction. Okay, it's a new term for you, right? It's a new term, supramolecular interaction. What is that supramolecular interaction? So if we just make it simple, supramolecular interactions are nothing but non-covalent interaction, which is found to be predominant in the event called drug receptor interaction. So during the process of interaction, most of the interactions are found to be non-covalent in nature. And the other name for this non-covalent interactions are nothing but supramolecular interactions, right? Okay. Interactions with what? Interactions, supramolecular interactions with what? With what? With the target. With the target. That means with the specific biological target. Biological target, right? So when the interaction has been made, what we can expect? The interaction may trigger or block a certain biological response. In normal physiology, okay, we are not, if the normal physiology is not being found, if it is found to be abnormal, it can be an increased overexpression, it can be a less expression, right? In case of overexpression, definitely you have to block it. If it is found to be a less, then you have to trigger it so that it can gain the normal level, it can attain the normal level, right? So that is the complete definition as framed by IUPAC. So what IUPAC says? IUPAC defines pharmacophore as it is an ensemble of steric and electronic features that is necessary to ensure what? To ensure the optimal supramolecular interactions, that is non-covalent interaction with what? With a specific biological target, okay? And when the interaction has been made, which subsequently leads to either triggering or blocking of what? Biological response. So this is the definition as framed by IUPAC. So we are done with the definition of pharmacophore and all. Now let us see that what pharmacophore exactly defines. What is the outcome of pharmacophore? Okay. So pharmacophore, we are done with this definition of pharmacophore. Now, as I said, the title of the topic is found to be pharmacophore modeling, right? That means we have to develop a model, that is the pharmacophore model, right? Now, with that pharmacophore, that means pharmacophore model has to say something. Pharmacophore model defines that how a diversified compounds can be projected to a specific target. That means it is the pharmacophore model that tells us how diversified chemical structures can occupy the same similar site which is present in a specific biological target. So that means we have to deal with what? We have to deal with so many structures which are diverse in nature. That means a diverse set of compounds, how they are approaching a particular target. In usual sense, how is it possible that a diverse set of compounds can grow an affinity to a particular target? Diverse set of compounds means diverse biological targets should be there. This is the usual thinking and all, but it is the pharmacophore model that defines what? The possibility of what? The possibility of a single target or a particular target. What? The possibility of targeting a particular target with a diverse set of compounds. How a diverse set of compounds can approach a particular biological target and yields the similar biological response, the same biological response. So this is about the pharmacophore model. That means through pharmacophore model, this is the outcome that we can get. That means through Pharmacophore model, at least we have to deal with so many diversified compounds. At the same time, the kind of biological response that they are developing, right? Okay. Now, what next? The next is the steps which are involved in Pharmacophore model. The steps which are involved in Pharmacophore model. Now, let me just tell you one thing. In case of Pharmacophore model, there are several steps, right? So, in case of Pharmacophore model, there are several steps. Okay. The general steps, I should deal with the general steps which are followed in Pharmacophore modeling and all. Okay. So the steps used in Pharmacophore model are found to be, the first one is, you have to deal with, first and foremost, you have to collect a series of compounds, right? A series of compounds has to be collected, right? Which should be diversified in nature. This is the first and foremost criteria, that what are the compounds that you are choosing, right? That you are choosing, the selection has to be done in such a manner so that you can find that each and every structures are found to be dissimilar to each other, right? So that means a lot of diversity that you must find. Okay, so that means what are the compounds that you are just trying to gather, right? Those structures or those compounds should be diversified in nature. That means a diversified molecular features should be kept. Okay, diversified molecular shape, molecular appearance should be there, right? Okay, so after collecting so many compounds along with their biological data, because when you have the biological data, when you have the biological data of a series of compounds, then we'll after what? Pharmacophore. Then we'll after Pharmacophore modeling, right? So when it is required that you have to perform, you have to run or you have to perform a Pharmacophore modeling. The Pharmacophore modeling can only be done when you don't have the crystallographic structure, but you have with you the biological data of what? Of a series of diversified compounds, right? And with those diversified compounds, how is it possible for a pool of diversified compounds to target a specific target? To target a specific target, it is out of similar features which are kept in each and every compounds present in that particular pool. As I said, it's an abstract description of what? Certain molecular features. Abstract description of features. That means, suppose we have a hydroxyl group. Suppose we have a hydroxyl group present in a particular compound. We have an amino group present in a particular compound. We have a chloro group present in a particular compound. The common thing is that, common thing amongst them is, the common thing which is found to be in each and every compound is, they are found to be electronically rich. They are found to be electronically rich, right? Okay, if we just try to figure out the common feature present in amino and hydroxyl, they are found to be hydrogen bond donor as well as acceptor. So that is the electronic features, right? Okay, chalo. So without wasting much time, let us deal with what? Let us deal with the general steps which are followed, which are used or which are involved in the development of Pharmacophore model, right? Okay. So the steps involved in Pharmacophore model. The first is select a training set. Select a training set of what? Set of ligands. Because this is the only thing that you are having with you, that you have with you, right? What? That is the select a training set of ligands, right? The question may arise, if training set is there should be test set, yes? We do require test set as well. Then what is the difference? In the training set, you have to put so many compounds. In the test set, you have to put so many ligands. Compounds, ligands, both are found to be same, right? Then what's the difference, right? The difference is, the training set ligands are used to develop the hypothesis. So Pharmacophore model is nothing but a hypothesis, right? A Pharmacophore model is nothing but a hypothesis, right? So in the training set, those ligands are used to develop the model, right? Then what about test set? The compounds which are kept in the test set, it is used to validate the model. That means the hypothesis which is developed by you, okay, whether it is good or bad, that is being validated. That means the viability of the generated model or generated hypothesis is being validated with the help of test set. Got my point? So, as I said, select a training set of ligands, right? So that means in the training set, as I said, that first and foremost, the primary requirement is what are the structures that you are going to put in that particular set. They should be diverse in nature. They should be diverse in nature, right? Okay. Now, another question. Shall we include only the active compounds in the training set? Shall we include only the active compounds in the training set? First I told diversity should be there. Chalo, we complied with that particular requirement, right? The second thing is that what are the compound that you are going to put in the training set or test set, right? Are they all, biologically active? It's not that. You should go after collecting or procuring the compounds. Those are diversified with respect to their structural features. In addition to this, few of them should be inactive as well. That means it's an ensemble of active and inactive. That means the ligands which are chosen, which are kept in the training set or test set, they may or may not have biological activity. That means they can be bioactive, they can be inactive as well. They can be inactive as well, right? So that means you should include both active and inactive compounds in the training set. So this is all about what? Selecting a training set. As I said, the difference between the training set and test set, in both the sets you are supposed to keep what? Diversified compounds. But the purpose of training set is to develop the model or develop the hypothesis, and the purpose of test set is with the compounds which are kept in the test set, with those compounds you are just validating the hypothesis which is generated out of this training set. Got my point? Chalo. So this is all about your the selection of training set of ligands, right? The second step is conformational analysis, right? So the second step is conformational analysis. So what is that conformational analysis, right? Okay, conformational study, or we can say in a simple sense, energy minimization study. What for you are going after energy minimization? Simply you are going after energy minimization? No. See, in a simple sense, when a ligand approaches a particular receptor, assume that a binding has been taken place, right? That means, and during the process of binding, definitely the compound should approach the active site in a specific pose, a specific orientation, right? As we know that there are several conformers which are possible for a single compound if the compounds are having so many or certain number of degrees of freedom, right? So that means if the number of significant rotatable bonds are present in a particular compound, this can appear in different forms, in so many forms, so many orientations, right? So that means we have to fix the orientation. We have to choose a particular orientation which is found to be bioactive. That means which is participating in the process of interaction with what? With the target active site. With the target active site, right? Okay. So that means why conformational analysis has to be conducted? In case of docking study also conformational analysis need to be done. In case of molecular dynamic study also conformational analysis should be done. In case of Pharmacophore model development also or modeling also, conformational analysis is found to be one of the key steps. After selecting a training set of ligands, right, then we'll move to what? That means we have with us the compounds, right, in the training set as well as test set. The next thing is conformational analysis. That means for each and every compound, you have to undergo what? You have to undergo conformational study. That means energy minimization study. And through that energy minimization study, we have to select the one which is found to be least energetic. Out of so many conformers, the selection has to be done in such a manner so that for each and every compound, you must have with you the least energetic one. That means it is the least energetic one that is found to be the stable one, and that is found to be the stable one, and subsequently that is found to be the bioactive conformer which is approaching the receptor, or which is found when a ligand receptor interaction has been taken place. Got my point? Chalo. So now this is about your conformational study. As I said, key conformational study has to be conducted so that we can get we can get the pose, we can get the orientation of the ligand which is found to be the bioactive one. And during the conformational analysis, basically we are just minimizing the energy so that we can get the stability, right? Okay. So this is all about your conformational analysis and all. And the next step, so the first one is selection of what? Training set of ligands. The second one is conformational analysis. The third one is molecular superimposition. The third step is molecular superimposition. Molecular superimposition. Now what is that molecular superimposition? You have to superimpose. So assume you have taken 60 compounds, 60 active conformer of 60 compounds, and all the compounds you have right now you have with you, because you are in the third step, right? So that means for each and every compound you have with you the active conformer, right? So that means you have with you the 60 active conformers, right? Now what next in the training set, which are kept in the training set, right? Now what next? You have to superimpose all the combinations. You have to superimpose all the combinations of the low energy conformations of the molecules, because you have to deal with 60 conformers, 60 different conformers, and all are found to be energetically stable. That means you have carried out the energy minimization study, and through which you have got what? The energetically stable, not unstable, energetically stable conformer, right? So that means each and every conformer has to be superimposed, right? Okay. Now suppose ki, and so you have right now you have with you what? You have with you so many compounds and which are aligned, right? Okay. I'll just give you a small example, right? How this superimposition can be done and all, right? Okay. So now suppose ki I'm just okay, let me just write it. Okay. Let me just choose a particular biological target, right? Let us take a GABA A receptor, right? GABA A receptor, we know the functioning profile of GABA A receptor, and we are going after what? GABA mimetic action, right? GABA mimetic action. That means we need to potentiate the functioning profile of the GABA A receptor. That means our intention is to depress the CNS. Why? GABA receptor is a ligand gated ion channel receptor. GABA is found to be the primary ligand, right? So when the primary ligand approaches the active site of GABA A receptor, what will happen? The subsequent event is opening of chloride channel. When there is a proper flux of chloride ion across the membrane, what will happen? Which eventually leads to the development of hyperpolarization. That means the CNS depression, right? So let us just take a target, okay, which is basically heading towards depressing the CNS, right? Okay, which is exploited in depressing the CNS, right? Okay, chalo. So here the target is found to be GABA receptor, GABA A receptor, and the usual drug that we have with us is let us take GABA modulator, right? So GABA modulator as benzodiazepine, right? Okay. So let me just draw the structure of benzodiazepine first. Now why I'm sketching the structure of benzodiazepine here, there should be a purpose, right? The purpose is we are in the step 3 of what? Step 3 of molecular modeling study, or molecular modeling process, or molecular modeling technique, right? Okay, step 3. Step 3 involves what? Molecular superimposition. You have to superimpose each and every conformer taken for that particular training set, right? Or which have already been considered for the training set and all, right? Okay. So suppose ki, as I said, that what are the compounds that we have selected, right? All are found to be chemically diversified, right? So here we have with us this is the compound, right? We have, let us put here methyl, right? And let me just put it here oxygen, right? Okay. So now this features, that means this is the compound which possess certain features and which should be recognized. This is the ligand, right? The features of the ligand should be recognized by what? The protein, right? Okay. Let us find the important region, right? Assume that this board is found to be the GABA A receptor, right? And we have a benzodiazepine site that is there in the GABA receptor, right? And within that benzodiazepine site, so many points are there, okay, which are waiting to grab, which are waiting for the complementary fragment coming from the benzodiazepines, right? Okay, chalo. So now let us see that what are the different regions, what are the different regions which are participating in the process of interactions, right? Chalo. So this is one of the compound. Let us bring another diversified compound. Okay. So let us just take another diversified compound. Let me just write it, okay, with red. Right? Yes, red will be fine. So now say here we'll just see. Okay, what next? So I can bring like let me just put here nitrogen. Again nitrogen. A hypothetical compound, right? A hypothetical compound. Here we have another nitrogen, right? Okay. And with this nitrogen we have a chloro here, right? We have a chloro here. We have a chloro here, that is for benzodiazepine, right? And we have a phenyl, another phenyl here, and suppose we have a bromo here, right? So okay. So superimposition. I have taken only two conformers. From that means I have taken only two compounds, right? And I have just aligned them. I have just superimposed them, right? Okay. This is the compound A. Green is A and red is B, right? Let us see the features. Can we, are we able to extract the features, the common features present in both the structures and all, right? And for that we need to see that what are the different regions, right, which are likely to accept what, the certain features, right? Chalo. So we have a chloro here, so we are least concerned about the chloro. So this is found to be the lipophilic region. So assume that this is found to be the lipophilic region. I'm just writing L1, right? This is L2, right? Okay. Now what next? So this is the region which is found to be H1, right? H1. Okay. Now what next? Yes. So this is okay. Now this is another thing like yes. This is we have a compound. We have a region called H2, right? So what is that H2? What is that L2? What is that L1? And what is that H1? These are found to be the complementary residues or the point of contact present within the GABA A receptor. Why I have written here H1? That means either hydrogen bond acceptor or hydrogen bond donor, right? So here, what I have written here, NH, or let us just write something, okay, NH, let us put NH here, right? So NH, hydrogen bond acceptor or donor, that means the hydrogen can be given, that means hydrogen bond donor. Here hydrogen can be accepted, so that means the interaction is possible. So for both the compounds interaction is possible, and that too the common site H1, right? Coming to this section H2, so we have a nitrogen here, we have a nitrogen here. Both can, H2 means it also indicates about the hydrogen bond donor as well as acceptor. So here also what, this type of interaction can be possible. Is it possible? Yes, possible. That means though they are having different features, one is benzodiazepine and the other one is non-benzodiazepine, it is out of similar feature they are interacting with the same site. This is the site for what? For hydrogen bonding. So here also hydrogen bonding is possible, here also hydrogen bonding is possible. So that means though they are having what? Though they are found to be diversified with respect to their molecular features, but as they are having some common feature, abstract description, this is the abstract description. We are not calling it as nitrogen of this particular, for this particular ring system, for this particular system. Rather, we are just calling it as what? Hydrogen bond donor or acceptor. That means you have to do the abstraction. I'll come to it. Once we are done with this molecular superimposition, then we'll move to the abstraction, right? Okay. Now, so with that, I think it's clear. right? I think it's clear. So this is, as I said, here I have written what L1. That means we have some lipophilic sites or lipophilic pockets that are there, okay, within the binding site, within the active site, right? So lipophilic pockets are meant for what? Accepting what? Accepting the bulky groups, right? So here for the compound A we have a phenyl here, and same thing for the compound B we have another phenyl here. So that means both can be projected to that particular similar site. So these two, though they are coming from different compounds, though the origin is found to be different, but as they are holding the same feature, it is out of that particular property they are being accepted by the similar site present within the active site of GABA A receptor. Okay, got my point? So this is happening in superimposition, right? This is happening in superimposition. Chalo. And with the help of the superimposition, we can calculate what RMSD, that is root mean square deviation. I'll come to it later, no problem at all. Now, let us just do one thing. After superimposition, what next? The next is, you have to transform, what? Transform the superimposed compounds. You have to transform the imposed compounds, okay? That means you have to transform the superimposed molecules into an abstract representation. Got my point? You have to transform the superimposed. This got superimposed on this, right? So that means A. First we have kept A, on top of A we have put B, right? So now you need to transform the next step. I'll come to the next step. So hope the third step is clear, right? The third step is clear. Now let us move to the fourth step. In the fourth step, they are asking us to perform abstraction. Abstraction. So what is an abstraction? So once superimposition is completed, right? That means, and what I showed to you, that is between two compounds, right? It is happening for all the compounds taken in the training set, right? Okay. But right now it's not possible for me to write all the 60 compounds and superimpose them, right? So you have to assume in that way. It's not that it's an it's an event of two compounds. The superimposition has to be met. The superimposition has to be completed for all the 60 compounds, right? So once all are found to be superimposed, then you have to search for the what? Search for the common features. That means you have to make it in the form of abstract representation. That means you are transforming all the superimposed molecules. That means it's found to be set, right, into an abstract representation. So what is that abstract representations? Like suppose so we have a phenyl ring. We have seen in case of A we have a phenyl ring here. In case of B we have another phenyl ring here, right? So instead of calling it as phenyl ring, while developing the abstract representation, we should call the phenyl ring as an aromatic ring, because who knows, the aromatic may get transformed into a sulfur. In some other compound it is in the form of sulfur. In some other compound it may be in the form of a pyridine, right? In some other compound it may be in the form of something like pyrimidine, right? It can happen, right? So the common thing in between them is all are found to be aromatic. So that means you have to make them bit concise, right? So instead of calling it as phenyl, then thiophene, then pyridine, then pyrimidine, straightway we'll just call it as aromatic ring. And it is found to be one of the pharmacophoric element. It is found to be one of the pharmacophoric element. The same thing has to be given to this hydroxy. It can be designated as what? Either bond acceptor, hydrogen bond acceptor, or hydrogen bond donor, right? So as I said, abstraction in step 4, as we are doing abstraction is nothing but what? You are just transforming the superimposed molecule into an abstract representation, right? As I said, phenyl means phenyl should be considered as an aromatic rings. Hydroxyl means it should be considered as a hydrogen bond donor or acceptor, like this, right? Now we'll come to this validation part, the final step, right? Involved in the pharmacophore modeling, right? So starting from the step 1, the first one is the training set, right? The selection of training set ligands, right? Set of ligands, right? The second thing, what we did, before superimposition, what we did? So first, you have selected the training set, then all the training set compounds were made energy minimized. That means conformational analysis. The third step, what you did, after you are done with this conformational analysis, conformational analysis. That means now we have with you the least energetic conformer for each and every compound taken in the training set, right? So once we are done with this conformational analysis in the test, in the step 2, then we'll move to the step 3, where you are supposed to do the superimposition, right? Superimposition of the molecular fitting and all, right? And then the fourth step is abstraction. That means instead of calling them by a different name, we are just making a general name. We are just giving them a general name, right? So that, why general name? Because they are behaving in a similar manner. We are concerned about the feature, hydrogen bond acceptor or donor. So simply, why we should call it as hydroxyl or amino? Why we should make a mess of it, right? Instead of hydroxyl or amino, we can readily call it as hydrogen bond acceptor as well as the donor, because Pharmacophore model is nothing but a hypothesis. It's a hypothesis, right? So now we have come to the final step, that is your validation, right? That is your, I don't know why it's not working. But anyway, the final step is validation. This is the step 5. Okay. As I said, key Pharmacophore model is a hypothesis, right? So where basically it accounts what? It accounts the observed biological activity of a set of molecules that bound to a common biological target. Okay, so we are what we are exactly so what on the, see, we have with us the biological data, the biological activity of what? Biological activities of a set of molecules, right, that bind to a common biological target, though they are diversified in nature, but as they are approaching a particular target, so that is why we have taken in the training set, right? Okay, now once the model has been validated, the validated Pharmacophore reveals what? The best necessary features for the required target of action. So the validated Pharmacophore, it reveals what? It reveals the best necessary features, like hydrogen bond acceptor at this location, hydrogen bond donor in this location, then aromatic ring, hydrophobic interaction in this location, right? So like this. So it is the best necessary features for the required target of action, right? Okay. Now let us deal with the step. We are in the step 5, the validation, right? So here we have, basically we have to deal with few steps, right? Few steps are involved in validation process and all. So the steps which are used in the validation are, the first one is your test set prediction. So under this we have to do test set prediction. Test set prediction. Then we'll do Gunnar Henry. I'm sorry. Actually, in the first in step 1, we need to do Fisher's randomization test, right? So this is not the step 1. This is found to be the step 2, right? Let me just rub it off. Instead of putting it A, we're just putting it B, right? Okay. So if this is under validation, as I told that, as I said that validation, it includes 3 steps, 3 different steps. In the first step, what you are doing, that is Fisher's randomization test. The second one, test set prediction. So first one is Fisher's randomization test. The second one is test set prediction, and the third one is Gunnar Henry method. Gunnar Henry method for scoring. That means Gunnar Henry scoring method, right? So the third one is Gunnar Henry scoring method, right? So these are the 3 different steps, okay? The steps which are involved in the final validation step, right? Validation step of pharmacophoric model, right? So now let us first deal with the first one, that is Fisher's randomization test, right? So what is that Fisher's randomization test? So as I said that you have just made the hypothesis, right? And in that hypothesis, how you have made the hypothesis? With the help of certain compounds which you have taken, which you have considered for the training set. So what exactly you are doing in case of Fisher's randomization test? Fisher's randomization test, FRT. So the experimental activity data. So Suppose ki we have taken 60 compounds. Suppose ki the compound A, okay, which has shown the activity at a concentration of 10 millimole. Subsequently, the compound B, the second compound, which has shown the activity at a concentration of what? 100 millimole. So suppose ki we have, I have taken just 3 compounds, right? The biological data reveals that this has shown the activity at a concentration of 10 millimole. This has shown the activity at a concentration of 5 millimole, and this has shown the activity at a concentration of 0.5 millimole. That means we are dealing with the activity data. Right? Okay. This all the activity data. That means all the 60 compounds you have with you the activity data. That means the concentration at which they have shown the activity, right? So all the data need to be scrambled randomly. You need to scramble the data. So what is that scrambling means? So scrambling, what is the scrambling? So you need to scramble all the data. Scramble means what? Just you are reshuffling it. Suppose ki this is found to be the original data for A. Now during the process of scrambling, what you are doing? You are just replacing it with 5. Reshuffling it, right? So now A got 5, B got 0.5 and C got 10. So we are done with the scrambling and all, right? And it has been done in a random manner to make it statistically irrelevant. What for we are doing the scrambling? To make it statistically irrelevant, not relevant. Then what? Then the randomized data set. Now we have a randomized data set. With that we are generating the hypothesis by using the same features, right? The features are kept constant. That means A, we are not altering the features, the molecular features which are there in the structure of A. Only thing is that the biological activity data has been scrambled, right? So initially we have with the original data, with the respective data, we have with us a hypothesis, and after scrambling we have just made it what? We have just made it statistically irrelevant, right? And next, with this shuffling and all or reshuffling and all in a randomized manner, we are generating a hypothesis. So we are generating a hypothesis, right? Okay. Now, so we have with us original hypothesis and we have with us what? The subsequent, the manipulated hypothesis, right? So during the Pharmacophore generation, if the randomized data set results in a similar or better RMSD or correlation. So now we have with us what? In Fisher's randomization test, now we have with us what? 2 hypotheses. One is your original hypothesis and the other one is your randomized hypothesis, right? Now, if the randomized hypothesis, during the Pharmacophore generation, if the randomized data set, so this is the randomized data set, right? We have made a hypothesis, we have made a pseudo hypothesis, right? Okay. If it results in similar or even better, what? RMSD or correlation. If this randomized data set after generating the Pharmacophore, if the randomized data set yields a better RMSD and correlation, it means that the original hypothesis have been generated. The original hypothesis have been generated by chance. By chance, obviously, because see, if the RMSD and correlation for this manipulated one or newly generated hypothesis is found to be better or similar than that of the original, so definitely we can draw an inference that the original hypothesis have been generated by chance. It is not supposed to give a similar or better result because we have already made it statistically irrelevant. And even after, if the newly formed hypothesis gave us a better RMSD and correlation, that means definitely there was some problem with the original hypothesis. The original hypothesis have been generated by chance. It means like that only, right? Okay. So this is your Fisher's randomized test. Fisher's randomization test rather. Okay, so this is the first step involves in the final step of what? Pharmacophore modeling, right? Okay. Now let us move to the next one, that is test set prediction. So we have incorporated what? The next step, that is test set prediction. So what you are doing, the name itself suggests that what are the compounds, you have just incorporated what? Few actives as well as inactives, because it is the inactive compound that can give you a better idea about what? About the active site topology. Why you are supposed to incorporate or include the inactive compounds as well, considering the fact that inactive compound, why we should take? Okay, we have with us the diversified compounds, but all the compounds should have a biological data and all the compounds should be active enough. No, you should include the inactive one. Then only you can at least get to know, yes, this should be this is the real environment of the active site with those inactive compounds. As the environment was like that only, and that is why the compound was deemed to be an inactive one. This is the conclusion that can be drawn. So that means it should be an admixture of both active as well as inactive. So now coming to this test set prediction, so what are the compounds that you have put under test set, that should be what? That should be tested. That means you should get that means the pharmacophore model should generate or should provide you what? Provide you the biological data for the tested compounds. Even you can, bring some external compounds as well. Even you can bring some external compounds as well. For the purpose of what? For the purpose of testing the quality, for the purpose of validating what? Validating the efficiency level of the predictive level of what? Predictive level of the pharmacophore, the newly developed pharmacophore, right? Okay. Now we'll just move to the final step. The final step is nothing but Gunnar-Henry scoring method. Gunnar-Henry scoring method. So here I am going to incorporate or introduce a new terminology that is called DUD. What is the DUD? DUD means directory. It is the directory. Okay, directory of what? Directory of useful decoys. So decoys is found to be a new term, right? New term. Decoys. As I said, DUD means directory of useful decoys. Now what is the decoys? Let me just give you an example first. So decoys are the ligands. Directory of useful decoys, right? Where you are including this one, where you are bringing this one in during the or while dealing with this particular method, that is Gunnar-Henry method. The third step involved in validation process or validation step, which is found to be the final step of what? Pharmacophore modeling. So directory of useful decoys. So what is the decoys? Decoys are nothing but, they are the ligands, right? Which looks similar physically, but topologically dissimilar. Right? Topologically dissimilar. As they are found to be topologically dissimilar, for what they are found to be topologically dissimilar? So as a result of this, just to minimize the likelihood of actual binding. The likelihood of actual binding. So I'll explain it. What is the decoys? Suppose you have with you a compound called A. Okay? And another compound you are dealing with is called AD. Right? So these two are the compounds. As I said, both the ligands look similar physically. If we just see it from this direction, we can see only 2A, right? So that means they are physically more or less similar, but topologically dissimilar. Suppose this is the feature, okay. 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 Now let me just bring something like the compound is called, okay. The same compound, right? Benzodiazepines, right? Okay. Now Okay, like this. Assume that this is found to be A and this one is B. Okay, 70% of these two compounds are found to be similar. That means they are found to be physically look alike, right? And the rest, this phenyl is found to be the different one. Okay, and it is because of this additional feature, okay, for which it will get hindered in growing affinity towards benzodiazepine receptor. It is because of this additional phenyl ring, it will not get accepted by benzodiazepine receptor. That means minimizing the likelihood. Suppose ki up to this level, okay, if it is found to be devoid of this phenyl, it can be readily accepted by benzodiazepine receptor. But the moment I am adding another phenyl here, what will happen to this acceptance level? It has got reduced. So they are physically look same. They are physically, they look similar, right? But topologically dissimilar, to minimize the likelihood of what? Actual binding. This is the central body of benzodiazepines. This is the central body of what? This is the central body of antidepressant drugs. Can we say antidepressants and benzodiazepines act in a similar way? No. Antidepressants, different thing. They're just trying to retain what? The biogenic amines at synaptic cleft, right? This is the real story of antidepressant, right? Whereas for this, it's a different thing. It's a different thing, right? And this is antidepressant as well as, I should say, psychological drugs. You can find, like, we have some class called diazepines, like clozapine. I should not say antidepressant, say antipsychotic drug. Clozapine can be given in atypical psychosis as well, right? That means it can work on 5-HT. No longer it is being accepted by benzodiazepine receptor. Bhale isme 70% as similar as that of this benzodiazepine, but it is because of this additional stuff, it has become a decoy for the benzodiazepine receptor. For this psychotic treatment, this can be accepted. This cannot be for the time being. Got my point? So this is the basic, thing which is there in decoy, right? Okay. Now, so as I said that you have to deal with what? DUD, that is directory of useful decoys. Now, so what is the Gunnar-Henry method? So a decoy set has to be developed, right? Now, what for you are using the decoy set? The GH scoring. What is the purpose of opting the GH scoring method? The main reason is to validate the pharmacophore by decoy set, and that is to determine how well it predicts the active molecules from the inactive one. Because here the decoys are nothing but the inactives one, right? And we are bringing the decoy set just to ensure the predictive quality of that particular pharmacophore model. In order to validate the pharmacophore, we are using the decoy set. Why? Just to determine how well the pharmacophore can predict the active molecules from the inactive molecules. Got my point? And during this method, the GH score, can be successfully, applied to quantify the model as well. And of course, the precision of heats and all. And during this process, the decoys and all, the GH scoring and all. I should not say decoys, because in GH scoring method, a decoy set has to be brought, right? And why it is required, that I told you just now. Why it is required? Just to determine how well the pharmacophore can predict the active molecules from the inactive molecules, right? Okay, that means we just want to know the discriminating power of the model. That means whether it is considering both the active and inactive as active, or active as active, inactive as inactive. And for that very reason only we have chosen what? A decoy set. For other targets, that the same decoy sets are found to be active. But for this target, which we are dealing with to develop the pharmacophore, this decoy set is found to be inactive one. And that is why we are incorporating the decoy set in the GH scoring method. So what they are telling in case of GH scoring method, certain things or certain things which need to be determined, right? Like your say percent y. What is that percent y? Percent y means percent yield of actives in a database. Okay, so within the database, percent yield of actives, right? The other thing that we are determining, or we are going to determine in GH scoring method, is found to be the percent ratio of actives in the hit list. That is called percent A, or precision. What A suggests? The percent ratio. Percent S means percent ratio of actives in the hit list. In the hit list, percent ratio of the actives, right? Certain other things which are used in GH scoring method is found to be, or which requires to be determined in case of GH scoring method, is found to be E for enrichment factor, and finally the GH score. What they are telling, if the GH score is found to be 1, it defines a good model. If the GH score is found to be 1, it defines a good model. Now, you may raise the question that how we can, determine the GH score. Yes, we have a formula. We have a formula for that, through which, with that, you can just, figure out the GH score, or you can determine the GH score. I'll just write it down, the formula, right? And in that formula, you can find different things which are incorporated. Few things I have told just now. So GH, which equals to, how this can be determined. I'm just putting HA. After that, I'll just put 3A plus HT. What I have put? HA within bracket 3A plus HT. Right? Just beneath this, I'll put 4HTA. I'll just put 4HTA. I'll just close the bracket. And then I'll put what? 1 minus HT minus HA. One minus HT minus HA by, this is the actual formula of what? It is the actual formula of the GH. That means this is the way you can calculate the GH, right? So there are a few things which are found to be known, and few things which are found to be unknown, okay, to you right now. So as I told that here, like A, we have used here like HA. Okay, let me just put it like HA means, it should be like this. HA. A for what? A for actives. That means number of actives in the hit list. So HA means number of actives in the hit list. A for active, H for hit. In the hit list, that means true positives. Right? I have put here A. What A means? A means the number of active compounds in the database. So HA means number of actives in the hit list. A means what? A means the number of active compounds in the database, right? Then we'll move to what? HT. HT means what? The number of hits retrieved. Number of hits retrieved. Number of hits that is retrieved. So HT is known to us, A is known to us. Now we'll shift from here to here. HT is known to us. Just now I told HT means what? The number of hits retrieved. So here the number of hits retrieved. HA already known to us. Now D. D is found to be the unknown for the time being. D means what? The number of compounds in the database. The total number of compounds in the database. So with that we can what? We can calculate the GH score. And as I said, if the GH score is found to be 1, it means that the Pharmacophore model which we have developed is found to be a robust model. That means the predictive ability of the Pharmacophore model is found to be what? Is found to be superior. Is found to be superior. So with that we are done with what? So with that we are done with Pharmacophore modeling, right? So in Pharmacophore modeling, as I said, there are several steps which are used, starting from training set, then your conformational study, then your superimposition. Then we did few things like your after superimposition abstraction, right? And finally validation. So in case of validation, we have seen that few steps are used, like your Fisher's randomization test, and then we have seen that after that test set prediction, and finally we have dealt with what Gunnar-Henry scoring methods. So in Gunnar-Henry scoring method, this is the formula which they are using, and if the formula is, and after putting the data, after plugging in the data here, if you find the G8 score is found to be 1, which indicates that the Pharmacophore model which you have developed is found to be a robust model. Now I'll just brief it once more. Not the one which I have told for the last few minutes, right? But the one, finally I'll conclude with what are the types which are used in Pharmacophore modeling, right? We have two types basically. One is found to be ligand based Pharmacophore modeling. The types, one is found to be ligand based Pharmacophore model, right? Ligand based, that means you have to deal with what? You have to deal with the diversified compounds or diverse set of compounds, right? Only thing is that the actual biological data is there with you, but you are not acquainted with what? You are not at all acquainted with the receptor, right? The crystallographic structure is not there with you. In that case, you will opt what? The ligand based one. And if ligand based one is not found to be working or is found to be inoperable, then you have to move to structure based Pharmacophore modeling, right? The other one is found to be structure-based Pharmacophore modeling, right? Structure-based, that means structure-based Pharmacophore modeling, it generates the chemical features of what? The active site. The active site of what? A 3D macromolecular target. It itself suggests structure-based means macromolecule-based. So macromolecule-based. Usually, in case of ligand-based, the software which they use a module of Schrodinger, molecular modeling software, which they are using in ligand based, but this is found to be the most prevalent, right? This is found to be the most prevalent. If it is found to be inoperable, in that case we'll move to the structure based. That means we have to deal with the 3D structure of a macromolecular target, and then subsequent step need to be carried out. But overall, what I told in case of in Pharmacophore modeling, these are the steps which are included in ligand based, the more prevalent one, the more used one, right? Used Pharmacophore model. So with that, probably you can probably have got an idea about what exactly they are doing in Pharmacophore modeling and what is Pharmacophore model, right? What is Pharmacophore model? So with that, I am concluding today's topic and all. So if you like this video, please don't forget to press the like button, and please do subscribe my channel and put your valuable comments right in the comment box and all, so that I can improve myself, right? Your comments are very much necessary for me because while dealing with the comments I can learn a lot, because some lacunae must be there, or some good things, some bad things should be there. It should be an admixture, right? Please, and put the comments in an unbiased way. It's my sincere suggestion, put the comments in an unbiased way so that you and me both can learn all together. So thank you very much. Thank you for the patience. Thank you.